34 and welcome to Reactivated. Remember to keep watching because at the end of the episodes there will be a special announcement. But in the meantime, let's kick things off with a bot bit. Can you identify this robot? Nicely zoomed in so it doesn't give too much away. The answer will be revealed a little later in the episode. There were many interesting moments in Series 3 for me, because obviously it was the start of the fight format after the Gauntlet and the games took a backseat. But today we are identifying a specific milestone which occurred in Heat 8, and that is the birth of the flywheel. Who have we got to thank for this? Of course, Hypno Disk. So let's rewind. We had never ever seen this type of weapon before in the wars, and even if you saw the build-up when Philippa was walking around the pits and introducing the robots, you saw Hypno Disk, the table, this interesting looking disc. Then they held up a bit of shrapnel. They said it could do this type of damage, so we thought, it's not that, doesn't look that effective. It only does a little couple of dents in. So we're thinking, how is this going to work? Well, I certainly thought that. I thought, how on earth is this type of weapon going to be effective in the arena? Now, it was against Robogeddon, as you veterans I'm sure will remember, this epic fight. I think it was a bit of a fix because Robogeddon was very poorly constructed, so I think the producers wanted everyone to be wowed by this new breed of weapon. And 3, 2, 1, activate, bang. History was made because no one had ever seen this type of destruction. Jonathan Pierce was just in stitches, and it really did define the series, and every single robot who then had a flywheel since Hypno Disk, they based the robot on Hypno Disk. So it was a groundbreaking milestone for me. It absolutely tore Robogeddon to shreds. This was probably one of my favourite fights of Series 3. And I just remember watching the fight, and I was just in awe. My mouth just dropped and I laughed. I was goosebumps even because of this destructive weapon. We thought, right, this is definitely the robot that's going to win the series. And even at the end, they never used to do interviews after the first fights with Craig Charles, but this one, of course, they had to interview Hypno Disk, and even Craig Charles was taken aback and pretty terrified from this clip here.
I've never seen anything like that before on Robot Wars. I mean, it completely battered that robot. It just ripped it to pieces. It's devastating, isn't it?
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to find that in my laundry basket, never mind to kill a lot.
Of course, famous spinners that have been and gone since then, of course, Disco Inferno, you've had 13 Black, even in the reboot, Carbide, obviously, and quite a lot of spinners we saw featured in Series 8, 9 and 10 have to base their weapon, their design, on Hypno Disk. Hypno Disk was the inventor of the flywheel, and it was made of a bin lid. Such a destructive weapon, and it was made of a bin lid with a couple of little prongs on the side. And even in the pits, when Philippa was interviewing the team post-match, Dave and Derek produced this Lego toy, and it was the little kid who had designed Hypno Disk. And for me at that point, something went off in my head. I thought, Lego robots. I wonder what I could do with Lego robots. I wonder. So for me, Heat 8, Battle C of the Third Wars was absolutely groundbreaking for me, and a proper milestone and a definitive moment in the history of Robot Wars. Extreme Series 2 for me was sort of the beginning of the end really for Robot Wars. It was the last official series to be broadcast on BBC Two. Now, this little bit of trivia for you today is rewinding to the last 3 episodes of Extreme 2. They did 16 heats of the series, and you can see here that each heats 1 to 13, were broadcast on BBC Two. During Extreme 2, Channel 5 had bought the rights, and the BBC were in a bit of a rush. They wanted to get Extreme 2 as much as they could aired before they then had to give the rights over to Channel 5. And unfortunately, that came at the part of, well, toward the latter, so between episode 13 and 14. We were meant to have 3 extra episodes. BBC Two were meant to broadcast 3 extra episodes, but at that point, like I said, the rights had been given over to Channel 5, and the BBC immediately pulled all Robot Wars airings to avoid promoting what was now a rival channel's show. So we missed the University Challenge episode, we missed the Commonwealth Carnage episode, and we missed the European Championships. They were lost episodes, really. No one had seen these 3 episodes, and they were pretty pivotal, I suppose, groundbreaking episodes that we missed. We missed the University Challenge episode where Behemoth lost in the first round and Tiberius won its first ever award, its first ever trophy. The team captain was actually part of Carbide. Then we had the Commonwealth Carnage. Again, this was another brilliant episode for me. It reunited Panic Attack and Firestorm in a bit of a grudge, and of course it also showed for the first and only time Mr. Psycho being flipped. So then we move on to the European Championships. Now, I don't know how many of you have seen this episode. This was a bit of a moment for me. It was the second fight that we saw Razor and Tornado against each other, with Tornado having that ridiculous looking frame. It was the first fight they had met since that controversial Series 6 Grand Final, and Razor actually won the fight. It was a bit of a boring fight. Razor had managed to grapple Tornado over the pit, but like in the Grand Final of Series 6, the pit just wasn't big enough. So Razor got the judge's decision. There was uproar from the Tornado team. They thought they had won, and something so dramatic happened in the pits after it. It actually caused the breakup of the Razor team. Here's a little bit of a clip.
Our drive motors burnt out, and we felt that we were immobile, or practically immobile, for well over the 30 seconds. We should have been counted out, and we don't feel we deserve to be in the final, and therefore we're passing it over to Tornado to be the UK team that goes into the European Championship final as the representative.
I was gobsmacked. I couldn't believe it. Neither could Jonathan Pierce. And after that incident, it inevitably led to the breakup of the Razor team, because one of the team members who basically wasn't featured in that VT didn't agree, and it led to the breakup. So a bit of trivia for you there. BBC Two had the rights taken off them, hence the last 3 episodes not being aired, and that last episode of the series led to Razor's breakup. Now we get to the part of the show where I take some of your questions. I'll try and get through as much as I can as usual. First we have Venus Productions 25 1996. Your question is, what is my favourite Robot Wars game? Okay, I'll probably do a section and a future Reactivated episode for this, because it'll probably take a little bit longer than just answering the question. But to sum up really, in a sentence, for me it was Robot Wars Arenas of Destruction. Okay, there were a lot of glitches, there are a lot of issues with the game. It was the first proper game really to be released. So thank you for your question, Venus Productions 25 1996. Next is a question from Space Ace. How popular was the show in our country, so my country? Now, Space Ace is from Russia. Thank you, all the way from Russia. Question there. Thank you very much, Space Ace. I can see why you've asked this question. Even now, the show isn't, well, it's in dormancy again. But there are still events, competitions going on up and down the country, weekly, monthly. It's still an active sport. It's hugely popular, and I have a feeling that at some point Robot Wars will return. It might not be the BBC, it might be an online platform that picks it up. But for me, the sport will never die here. Another question here from Stanley V. Thank you. What was your favourite Robot Wars fight that we filmed in our series? So to be honest, there's quite a few. Check out the Robot Wars Best Bots episode for some of my favourites. Just off the top of my head, we enjoyed filming the Series 5 Grand Final between Storm and Faultless Revenge. Some might have thought because there were 2 pushing robots, not a lot happened. Yes, I agree, because obviously that was reflected on the actual TV show, because they hated robots that didn't have a weapon, they were just a box on wheels. Another fight, we enjoyed both the extreme fights of the, well, it was the Champion Chompalot, both 1 and number 2 that we filmed in Extreme Series 2 and 3. In terms of the whole heats, check out our 7th series Heat 4, arguably my favourite episode, favourite heats that we've ever filmed. It was just full of drama, unintentional drama, stuff that you couldn't even have made up on a different day. We just have time to go to Bot Bits. Any of you are lucky enough to get this. Little bit of a tricky one this week. However, that lifting sort of arm on the left hand side gave it away slightly. It was that cheeky, cocky, brilliant robot of Mortis. So now it's time for that special announcement. I think it's probably best to just give you this little teaser. Enjoy. Something big is coming. Robots from every generation meet. From the very famous, experienced, and brand new, not forgetting the old guard. That's right. Series 8 is currently in production. It's actually in post-production now. We've had a couple of weeks of obviously filming. About a month ago we set up a timeline. We wanted to build, or should I say redesign the arena, which we did. We are hugely excited to be bringing Robots back for an 8th series. Again, we can't believe how long we've been doing this for. Now, I know I'm going to get a lot of questions about the 8th series. Feel free to comment on if you have a question about the 8th series, but I will say this, I won't be responding, because obviously I'll be seeing it, I'll be seeing your question obviously, but I won't be giving anything away, so chances are I probably won't respond. Might just give a little like to your comments. Obviously we don't want to give too much away, very little will be given away, to be honest. However, I will give you some idea. We will be using cardboard more for some of the robots, and prepare for 2 new arena hazards. It's been a tight turnaround. We are currently in the post-production stage, as I've just mentioned, and eagle-eyed viewers will probably have noticed at the end of the Pitstop episode, the half-an-hour documentary released at the end of last year, that Kilolot's patrolling the arena. So we did actually know we were coming back for an 8th series. We just didn't really know when. It's been a busy year. Do look out for the official trailer for the 8th War, which will hopefully be out in the next few weeks or so, which will include the release date. So keep an eye out for that.
Cease.
That is the cease. Thank you so much for your questions. Thank you so much for watching once again. We are hugely excited to be bringing you the 8th series. And subscribe, of course. Please like, comment, share, download. This will be the last episode of Reactivated we'll be doing for a while. Obviously the focus now is on the 8th series. So thank you so much for watching this batch of episodes. We'll see you very soon. Thank you.